الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله محمد وآله الطاهرين. صلى على Muhammad. I haven't started yet, and we've got dramas with the brothers. MashaAllah, the sisters are always quiet and polite and attentive, always having dramas with the boys, and they're not the younger boys, they're the older boys as well. Today I received some messages, Sheikh, why are you abusing your audience? What happens if someone random comes and wants to listen to your lecture and hears these comments? I said, Wallah, going to be big disgrace and shame, but what can I do? Trying to be polite and nice, Ramadan, Allahumma inni sa'im, but then you got someone doing training and not coming for futur, or someone going off and doing Korean and not coming for futur. Don't act innocent, Murtada, you know I'm speaking about you. Tonight, which is night 11 of our presentations, we're going to have tomorrow night, and then Wednesday night will be the last night, inshallah. Speaking again about the radha'il, the vices that are really, really important for us to get rid of. I've mentioned this once before, that one of the most effective ways of learning about akhlaq on a practical level is reading the biography not only of our A'imma alayhum as-salam, but our ulama as well. And when you become familiar with our ulama and the level of difficulty that they went through in their lives, and the struggles that they went through, and the challenges that they had, whether it be political, whether it be social, whether it be financial especially, but yet you see cases where, for example, some ulama, after they passed away, you come to read in their wasiyah, in their will that they wrote for their children, that I have not committed a makruh for the last 40 years, let alone haram. Yani everything he did was either wajib or mustahab. Unfortunately, people in today's society don't even think of the severity of something like makruh. When you say, oh no, it's makruh, oh yeah, that's okay, that's fine, it doesn't matter. No, that's not how it is. Makruh will be an obstacle preventing you from excelling and going up in your spiritual life. Makruh and intentionally, willingly doing something makruh is not good at all for your spirit. Of course, there are different levels of, we can say, makruh. For example, it's makruh for you to drink water standing up in the night time. Okay. That is different to the karahiyya of you intentionally sleeping in the state of janaba, because that level of karahiyya is way more severe. And the same with mustahabbat, with sunnahs, and with other things. So therefore, if we really want to engage in our nafs, in our spirit, in improving ourselves on many levels, building that Islamic identity that we need to have, we have to make sure, we must make sure that we are observant of not only the haram and the halal, or the haram and the wajib, but also the mustahabbat and the makruhat. And in a lot of cases, you don't really need to go out of your way. You're picking up a cup, you want to drink, you say, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. You remember the thirst of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and you say, I'm going to drink this water so I can continue on with having energy and speaking to my brothers. That act that I just did is mustahab. I'm going to the musalla, alaykum salam. I'm going to the musalla so I can gain some education and learn about my religion and pick up on some of my identity as a Muslim person, so that I fortify myself, I immunize myself. That's mustahab. Or rather, in my opinion, it would be wajib, because talabul ilm is farida. Whose phone is that? Daniel's phone. Arafit. I'll get your cousin, look at his, to bash you or something. Ibrahim, are you okay? Ibrahim and Ali, you busy in the kitchen? Because you're distracting everyone here. Sorry? Where's the, good luck, Ali, where's the coffee? Okay. What was I saying? Where's the coffee? What was I saying, Ahmed? If you are not observant of mustahabbat and makruhat, you will become careless as far as other things in regards to your wajibat and your muharramat. Because one thing leads to another. What did we say in Arabic? Shi jurshi, as they say. One thing leads to another. If you start having a small level of audacity, that audacity grows and grows and grows, and it's not good. So from the beginning, you say, well, this is my limit. Oh, wow, really? It's makruh? I'm going to avoid it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay away from it as much as possible. That's a way better approach. And then when it comes to things like haram and this and that, you are in control. Because everything that we're speaking about is about self-restraint, self-control, self-discipline. You're not some failure who grew up in the streets and have train tracks all over your arms and a dropout from school and dysfunctional family and no love shown to you. No, alhamdulillah, all of our brothers and sisters come from good families. But that doesn't mean that you will stay guided. We all need guidance. And the one thing that I would say 95% of parents want is good for their children. A lot of cases, unfortunately, they don't know how to deal with it. You were on your phone at 10 o'clock and I told you you're not allowed on your phone after 8, rajdi. Now maybe يستاهلها هذا, maybe it's a case of, frustration that the parent has, but again, the approach needs to be right. How do we attract people to participate in religious programs? By constantly enticing them with food and pizza and ping pong and snooker and things like that? Or do we say to them in their faces that, look, you don't come, you're losing. You come, you're winning. Doesn't matter what happens. Even if at the end in the masjid, in the musalla, in the Husayniyah, there's only one person that comes, you're winning. and someone who doesn't come, you're losing. Everything that we do is for our nafa', for our benefit, but sometimes we don't realize it. Do you know when the most valuable time is for your fasting days and Shahr Ramadan? When is the most valuable time, the most important time, where al-du'a mustajab 100%, where your dua will be answered 100%? Maghrib time. Before you have your futur, before you break your fast. How many people tonight recited Allahumma laka simna wa ala rizqika aftarna wa alayka tawakkalna? Put your hand up. One person, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Abdullah, Korean food, of course he didn't. How many of you recited Surah Al-Qadr? One person, Maliki, good on ya, and Sayyid. Don't lie, Ali. Let's shadhib. Yeah, you always do it. I don't know, just a gut feeling. Surah Al-Qadr. Very, very important for you to recite. This is the time when you are going to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for certain things, and He will answer your prayer. Which is why I've mentioned that take it easy with the food after your salah, and then you go for your food, you do your dua, you ask Allah for forgiveness. What happens if you don't do this? What happens if you skip all of this and go straight to the banya and the fasoliyah or whatever you guys eat? What happens, bless you? You lose out on this opportunity. It's your loss. It's your loss. No one else is losing. And therefore, when it comes to akhlaqiyat, when it comes to your conduct and your behavior and being a better person, nothing will affect yourself more than what it is that you are doing to yourself. Nothing will harm you more than how you are harming yourself. How are you supposed to know God if you can't even know yourself? How are you supposed to want to understand your religion if you can't even work on your own self? If you are so weak that you give in to every single person around you. A very, very common kind of, scenarios these days. Oh, Sheikh, can we do this? Or Sheikh, can we do that? None of these main questions are about core values. Sheikh, can I take steroids? No. Sheikh, is weed, taking weed, having weed, sniffing weed haram? Or, sorry, Maliki, you expert in that field? Is that why you, what do you do? Do you sniff weed? What do you do? Oh, thank you. Sorry, I apologize for my lack of knowledge in this field. These are unfortunately the common questions. Or what happens if I put a 50 centimeter muffler on my, what was it? Corolla? What was it? Ali? Sportiva? Or not? Am I allowed? Go to the core issues of what is relevant to your religion, to your shakhsiyah, to your personality. Until when is your mummy and daddy going to be running after you, asking you to be more attentive about affairs in your religion and prioritize it? Whoever says that I'm too busy because I've got work and I've got studies is shuno? Kazab. Is a liar. You can't say that you are too busy for أحسنتم حجينا جزاكم الله خير عودتونا الله يحفظكم خادم الحسين إن شاء الله. You can't expect anything good to happen if you're so accustomed and so used to people throwing you around. But that's not going to be forever. You're going to get to a time, an age, where you're going to be completely independent, away from your parents. How are you going to function? How are you going to function? You know, there are people, individuals who built the largest of Islamic centers around the world. And they were individuals. They weren't big, like large people by the hundreds. One person had strong motivation, was strictly disciplined. Wherever he went, he took the flag of Ahlul Bayt with him. Can you do that? Do you have that potential? Do you have those characteristics? Or the only thing you're going to be taking around with you is your six-pack and your 313 tattoo that you've got on your back? What kind of qualities are you sharing with other people? The hadith says, كُونُوا دُعَاةً لَنَا بِغَيْرِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ. Yani propagate, spread our religion without using your tongue. Yani without speaking, without talking. Yani shlon, how? Through your behavior. Where someone says, MashaAllah alayh, look at him, loyal, trustworthy, honest, stand-up guy. His religion must be really, really teaching him good stuff. That's the way we spread our religion. But can we see this in our communities? Huh? Kalla. Kalla thumma kalla. And that's very sad, isn't it? It's very sad. Where does it come from? Lack of self-discipline, lack of self-restraint. Not having that ghira for deen, for religion. And that's why when we spoke about iffa, we said we were going to speak about the opposite of iffa. And it's referred to as either tahattuk, either sharah, which basically means immodest behavior. But immodest behavior not only in the sexual context, but bshikl aam in general. That you don't have that iffa. Remember when we spoke about three things, three types of chastity and modesty that you need to have. Iffatul lisan, that you need to have a modest and chaste and pure tongue, that you don't speak vulgarity. You don't use profane language. What do they say? Profane? Pronoun? Where'd you get that from? Profanity. Is that right? Number one. Number two, iffatul batn, that you have a chaste, pure, modest stomach. That you're not a gluttonous person always thinking about your food and you don't care halal, haram, this, that. Don't care what it is, where it's from. You just eat it, whatever there is there in front of you. And number three, iffatul farj, which means iffa of your sexuality. That you are modest, that you are chaste, that you are pure, that you have integrity. That not every person that initiates contact with you, you start chit-chatting with her, and you start talking with her, and you start romanticizing with her, and تتغازل وياها, and then later on you throw the big bombshell that, oh no, I'm too young to get married, or I'm still studying, or I have to do this. Misleading, unfortunately, other people and breaking their hearts. And we always know that cliche kind of, argument that you would never like this being done to your sister or your daughter, but you have absolutely no issue doing it with someone else's sister or someone else's daughter. The most common complaint that we get from sisters is, saying that guys want to inbox us all the time. And unfortunately, you might find some naive, very simple, gullible girl who answers, probably insecure, probably looking for attention, and then you prey off of that and you manipulate the situation in the bad way. A lot of these things, unfortunately, happen. It's all about morals, it's all about values, it's all about modesty, which is why, unfortunately, it's really becoming less and less and less. And that's why in our Islamic culture, there are so many words for these two simple words. For iffa, you've got so many different expressions used for the word iffa. So many words and expressions used for the word iffa. And also for a profligate person, for profligacy, there are also a lot of words that are used for someone who is mutahattik, who is sharih, which is really, really important. Dangers of loss of iffa. Can you see the board from there or? No, you can't. Don't say you can, okay? Come sit over here. Where? From the screen? There are, of course, many dangers to iffa, and obviously one of them is in your clothing, the way you dress. We've spoken about this many times. Last time we spoke about shorts, wearing shorts. How common is it for Muslim guys to be wearing shorts? Even when they go to masjids or Islamic centers, wearing shorts, it's like normal, like so what? They've desensitized themselves. And the problem that we have is we have to rewire our brains because we have become so secularized, so westernized in our mentality, so modernized in our mentality. Here comes the betrayers, alaykum salam. Where were you for futur? Busy, yeah. Another betrayer, alaykum salam. It's very sad that things are either one of two extremes. Either he's wearing shorts and a singlet, or he walks in wearing a dishdasha and a ghitra and a igal, like Ali. No one's saying that you have to wear traditional Middle Eastern clothing, even though it's better because it's more mastur. When you go down and you do your sujood, you're not going to be, showing anything. But of course, that's not going to be expected for everyone, but at least be modest in your clothing that you wear, in what type of clothing that you wear. I used to have this issue. You would expect like Jojo to do that, but you got Kahi and Safdari and that doing it. Saidi, now you're innocent. Pay attention, please. We're being live broadcasted, and people are gonna know your names for the rest of your life. No, Ufum Ali, don't worry. Yeah. Last name, surnames, Ahsan. Yeah, the whole family will know. Inshallah, when they get home, they'll get a beating. What was I saying? Stop interrupting me, boys. Come on. What was I saying? I forgot, man. Huh? What? What was I saying, Jawad? Yeah, I know about clothing, but traditional clothing. No one expects you to wear that, but at least there needs to be some kind of boundaries of what it is that you can and cannot wear. What was the example I gave last time? Would you ever expect your father or your grandfather to walk down Westfield Shopping Centre with short shorts. Once you wouldn't, not because of anything other than they think that it's a part of modesty. And by the way, that doesn't mean that it is optional. In a lot of cases, it could even be haram, which I'm going to give an example for. Once I had this issue with a speaker, with an Islamic speaker, right, who was really into bodybuilding, and anytime he came up to speak, he would open up his dugmas, what do they call it? His buttons. And then I would say to someone to say to him, just before you go up, why is it that every time before you go up, there's one that's closed, you have to open it? It's not appropriate. There's sisters here and things like that. You've got gorilla chest hair and that thick Havana Cuban necklace as well and whatnot. I'm serious. But unfortunately, that's an example of iffah in your clothing. That there are cases where you need to be more selective with the type of clothes, the kind of clothing that you wear. Even if you live in a country that have absolutely no issue with what they wear. And men dress and cover more than women. We know that for a fact. Men cover more than women. You as a Muslim, you have different values, you have different tarbiyah. So you need to be careful of this. Does that mean that you need to be wearing long trousers when you're swimming in the... No, it doesn't. But at least when you're going out, at least when you're going in public, at least when you're going to the Islamic center, wear something that is appropriate for that kind of gathering. You would not be able to dress like that if you're going to a nightclub. Because in a nightclub, in every nightclub, they've got a long list of things that you are not allowed to wear. Sah wala la? How do I know, huh? Yeah. We went there to do Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi an Munkar. It says no singlets, no flip-flops. What's a flip-flop, Mehdi? No singlets, no flip-flops. I was reading on the news, there's a nightclub, no red shoes. Did anyone see that? You're not allowed to wear red shoes. Why is it when it comes to our religion, Islam, we become very, defensive when we're told what we should be wearing and what we shouldn't be wearing? It's normal for anywhere. You have to keep those values up. And for our sisters, unfortunately, if you type the word modest hijab, 99% of it is not modest at all. Makeup is so common and very, very common in today's society. Tight hijab clothes is very, very common as well. It's even very difficult to speak about the topic of hijab, because the first thing that they will say is, why don't you stop looking at me? Why are you so obsessed with my hair? Why don't you focus on your own self? Why don't you lower your gaze? And that's why, in our belief, of course, modesty comes from the inside first. But it is a two-way responsibility. It's a two-side responsibility. What men need to do and also what women need to do. Men need to address their issues. Women need to address their issues. Men can address their issues and can also address women's issues if they want to. Women can address their issues, but also address issues of men if they want to. One does not need to become defensive once they are pointed out as far as something is concerned. Because the objective that a man has is to control his eyes, and control his mind, For a woman is also not only to control her eyes, but to prevent eyes being thrown onto her, deflecting haram, lustful gaze. And she can do that easily, simply by not wearing things in a provocative way that a man would look at. Let's say that if she's doing everything that is wajib for her to do, and you still got some sick man looking, well, it's no longer her responsibility. She's not going to be held accountable for that anymore. You're not going to expect her to stay in a room all the time. Right? Let's go to another example of immodesty, another example of where we need to work on iffah, music. I opened up today, I said I want to give an example of lyrics from a song, but then, like, honestly, I wasn't able to. I said, يعني, I did a whole slide and I put the what's his names and the ma'adri ish and then I said, no, يعني, first of all, we've got little kids, non-baligh kids, Ali and Mawi and Kahi and that. What am I going to say? But you all know, none of you are unfamiliar with the lyrics, the profanity, the disgusting words that are being mentioned. And you can go into Woolworths and you'll hear these kind of songs from Cardi B and Nicki Minaj and Rihanna and this and that and this and that. Right? Just listen to their lyrics. Where is it that they are giving honor to their gender or the other gender? Where is it that they are sharing values as far as a piece of music is concerned? What are they talking about? Struggles? No, it's nothing. It's not about struggles. It's all about diamonds and money and fast cars and watches and this and that. It's all about profanity. It's all about women and parts of women's bodies and this and that and this and that. Right? Not all music is like that. You do have music that is modest, that is, well balanced, that is with a purpose, that speaks about struggle, that speaks about important issues, mathalan, in the form of, music, whatever it may be, right? But in general, in today's pop music and rap music and whatever music, it's all about these things that I just mentioned. And 3/4 of it is swear words and inappropriate words. And that, once upon a time, that was alternative. That was never on public television. That was never on, radios. But that has now become mainstream. And read about this, the difference between the pop music and that kind of music in the 80s, and then how it evolved in the 90s, and then how it is now. And people look up to, maybe you don't, but people look up to these women. A lot of African American women, they look up to Cardi B. That's her name, right? A lot of them look up to her. They think she's like a saint, an angel. Empowering women, that's what she says she does. She empowers women by calling them I wanted to say, didn't you, Daniel? It's very dangerous, my brothers and brothers. There's no sisters tonight. Coincidentally. Television programs as well Look at all the television programs and how damaging a lot of them are. Again, don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm some extreme haram this, haram that. You're not allowed to do this. No, you can watch television, but be careful that you're not being indoctrinated. A very common question, Sheikh, why can't we have a dog? I love to have a dog. A dog is a man's best friend. A dog is this, a dog is that. Indoctrinated, becoming desensitized. Alaykum salam, alaykum salam. We heard you lost. Being indoctrinated, being desensitized. Keep your values. Understand what Islam wants from you. Don't be a flip-flop, always changing. A chameleon. What does a chameleon do, Mehdi? مطفي هذا, half asleep. What does a chameleon do? What? You don't know? Do you know what a chameleon is? What is it? Darkhizi, what is it? What's a chameleon? Depending on its surroundings, its habitat. Thank you. Comedian tells jokes. It's really bad. Reality TV shows, series, all these things that are happening, and I've spoken about these things a few times actually. How they try to slip things in the middle. A hijabi Muslim girl who fell in love with another girl, mathalan. They slip them into the series. So you become so familiar with these kind of scenes, and you grow up watching them, and then later on in 10, 15, 20 years, you say, Adi, what's the problem? So what? Because it's a form of brainwash. It's a form of affecting you subconsciously. It's not only us Muslims that have this problem. Many religious Christians and many followers of other religions and even atheists who have good morals also have this issue. So it's not just a Muslim issue, right? We need to make sure that we keep ourselves modest and pure and away from this kind of rubbish. What are the solutions? Improving your faith, of course, knowing your boundaries and your limitations. Make sure that you always stand up to what is right and express your feelings, express your opinion about these things as well. That's really, really important. Of course, the effects that are going to happen is you're going to start pursuing your lust, you're going to start drifting away from Iman, where you're going to have issues with, indulging in being murtah and comfortable, and that's what you're always going to want. That's not good as well. What are the examples? I've mentioned them, but I'm going to go into two other examples now. But what we can see is one example of gluttony. Who's this guy? Yeah. Jojo knows him. I knew it. Iffatul batn, as we said, that you have to have modesty in your stomach, that you're not obsessed with food and food only. It's a big problem, a big issue. Alhamdulillah, ijal hajj. Jazakumullah khair. الكبار مو الصغار. اي هي المشكلة بالكبار مو الصغار. حج أبو عبد الله هم هنا الحمد لله. ها سيدنا. See, I've got some good قوة here. I've got some قوة عسكرية. أسميهم علي عبد الله موي كاهي علي. لا ساعد is innocent. نصهم شملانين وربعهم قرناويين. What was this guy's name? You can't tell me you don't know who he is. هذا Hashbik Ali, why don't you go get a new prescription, man? You know, if you see a picture of him, now he's like, he just cries out of nowhere and depressed or mashakil hawaya. Absolutely. But the point here is, للأسف الشديد, some people, their only concern is food. And look at social media and look at YouTube and look at these things. A lot of them, and look at television, a lot of it is about food and going to places and influences. A lot of influences are influences when it comes to food. And it really, really entices you, especially when they go to those slum areas in India where they're cooking and they're washing their hands in the middle of the food. You know, that makes you really, really want to go there and eat some of that food, and then go end up in hospital for the next 6 months of your life. Gluttony is not good. Being a cool in Christianity, in Catholic Christianity, it's one of the 7 mortal sins, right? Being a gluttonous person. Remember when I asked you all to go and watch Seven? Brad Pitt movie, yeah. Have you seen it? Yeah. It's very good. 7. It's rated R, by the way. So, Murtada, I don't think you'll be able to watch it. Gluttony is really, really dangerous, and we have to be careful. That's why there's some people, they used to say, we would love to pray behind Imam Ali, but when it comes to food, we go to Muawiyah and his nice, colorful sufra. Imam, of course, obviously, in the Quran, it mentions a lot. It's fine if you like food, no problem, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Kulu washrabu wala tusrifu. Don't waste. Don't become obsessed with food. That's really, really important. Hadiths, Imam Ali. الشره يكثر الغضب. That your immodesty and that your lust for food and your stomach and these kind of things will increase your level of anger. You'll become angry. You'll become quickly agitated. Just imagine taking a burger from this guy, from his big plate. Just imagine taking one piece of chip from him, how he'll go crazy. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, about stomach, about food, by the way. إِنَّ الْبَطْنِ إِذَا شَبَعَ طَغَى. If you're accustomed to always being full, you will become tyrannical. طَغَى. You will exceed in your levels of moderation. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَبْغَضْ كَثْرَةُ الْأَكْلِ. Allah hates excessive eating, someone who excessively eats. Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam, لو أن الناس قصدوا في المطعم لاستقامت أبدانهم. If people were moderates, were well balanced in what they ate. Al-mat'am doesn't mean restaurant. Al-mat'am means what you eat. Their bodies would stay healthy. لَاسْتَقَامَتْ أَبْدَانُهُمْ. What a beautiful saying from Imam Musa al-Kadhim salamullahi alayhi. لَوْ أَنَّ النَّاسَ قَصَدُوا فِي الْمَطْعَمِ. If they had moderation and balance in what they eat, لَاسْتَقَامَتْ أَبْدَانُهُمْ. Their bodies would stay as healthy. When we want to learn about iffah, it's a combination of all of these things, and staying away from the opposite of iffah, to be modest, to be shy, to remember modesty in your eyes, in what you see, modesty in your tongue, in what you say, modesty in your stomach, in what you eat, modesty in your lust, in what you desire. These are very, very important things that we have to control that we have to control. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa alihi tahirin.